Okay, so we'll get started here. Thank you so much for joining and for being on time. We have just a precious number of minutes, so it's good to utilize our time well. Welcome to our second wellness workshop, and I hope you had a great week. Last Wednesday, we had a really nice relaxing session called Yoga Nidra. Was a guided relaxation exercise during our office hours. And I'll invite you again this week to join me tomorrow, Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time for office hours. And this will be more of an open meet and greet, open for discussion, questions. We can, at that time, schedule if you want to work in small groups or one-on-one. I'll be there to talk with you as we proceed. So do drop in tomorrow from 12 to 1:30 p.m. I'd really like to get to know you better, and I'd like to invite you to tell me in the chat your name, what you like to be called, and where you are in the world, and what the weather is like there today. And then one thing that you're really good at. So what you like to be called, where you are in the world, what the weather's like today, as well as one thing you're really good at. So I'll put mine in there. My name is Amy Eldridge, and I am in Saratoga Springs, New York, in the northeast of North America. And it is kind of a funny overcast day. It's about 70 degrees. It's kind of mild. And I would say I'm really good at organizing. I have kind of a superpower for organizing. I keep track of things in my home. I'm known as the keeper of the things. So if you're looking for something in my house, I'm the person who everyone comes to. um, so, um, so I'm going to say I'm good at organizing. So I'd invite you to just share in the chat about yourself. And if I was thinking maybe if 3 or 4 of you want to just come on, and if you're able to turn your camera on, that would be great. And just tell me your name. I can hear your voice, see you, and tell me what you're good at. Tell me about where you are in the world and what the weather's like. Anybody want to come on and just share your voice with us? I figure over the course of our 8 seminars, perhaps I can hear from most of you in this way and at least, see you for a moment or two. Who will unmute and talk with me today? See a lot of people jumping on. So let's see. Mitch is in the chat, says I'm in Zimbabwe, Harare. I don't know if I said it's a chilly winter day. A self-taught artist who loves creating art for mental well-being. Beautiful. Oh, good. Hi, Matthew. Come right on. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's not a great connection, but thanks for coming on.
Let me try. My place is not good enough for me to on my camera. I'm sorry about that.
I can't really hear you. I'm sorry. I'm not having too much luck with the sound. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Okay. All right. My background is not good enough for me to on my camera. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah.
But my name is Matthew. I'm joining from Ghana, and I'm in Ashesi University studying computer science. I think the weather here is cool with some nice evening breeze. It's really nice over here. Not much of a sun. The weather is cool. Um, yeah, and I'm good at solving mathematical problems. But I would like to say that we are preparing for our final exam, so the weather too is helping us because we don't have sun, no heat. The place is cool for study. So yeah, thank
Good.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Awesome. I wish you the best of luck on your examinations. That's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. Nice to hear you. Who else was on? Was it Harriet? I saw someone else had their hand raised and now they're off. Uh, hmm. Yeah, there you are. Hi, Harriet. Can you unmute and
Hello, Amy. So I
hi?
was trying to turn on my video. I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
Let me try again. I don't know what happened. Okay, so hi, Amy. I'm Harriet. Unfortunately, I missed the sessions that you had last time. And yeah, but I'm here. We're doing exams and I'm almost done. So I was able to join this session tonight. It's night this side. And it's a cold night. It's just from raining. I think an hour back it was raining. And you talked about superpowers. So my friends tell me that I'm very good at naturally taking up the leadership positions. Like when we go to a place and things are kind of all over the place, I naturally stand up and tell people let's do this and this to put everything together, and yeah, things work out. So that's it.
Thank you, Harriet. Yeah, you've been active on our chat, which is wonderful. So I've experienced your leadership already. It's really wonderful. Where are you?
I'm in Uganda right
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Great. It's really nice to see you and just hear your voices. It's wonderful. Anyone else like to come on? Okay. So yeah, I wanted to start off by talking about different ways that we know things, different kinds of knowledge, right? There's two types. One is intellectual knowledge. So that's knowledge that applies to concepts and learning facts, knowing how things work, right? This is kind of, at least before I explored that there were different types, this is kind of what I thought of as knowledge. But there's also something called experiential knowledge that allows us to understand how things work because we experience it or have experienced it. So knowing about something and experiencing something mutually enhance and refine each other. And they're both really necessary ingredients for true knowing to arise. So thinking about going to a place, like we're going to Turkey for our conference, right, later in the year. I've never been to Turkey. I know some things about it, but unless I'm actually in the place and hear the language and experience the culture and the land and the plants that grow there and the people that are there, I can't really say that I know it. I know about it. I know a few things about it, but I haven't really experienced it. And so there's a certain part of the knowing that's not accessible to me yet. Doesn't mean I can't do it. So I just bring this forward in, as we proceed with our taking up of wellness and Ayurveda in particular, because there is a way in which it's a living science. And as we immerse in some practices, it can really help us to gain that experiential knowledge. Breath is a really simple and powerful tool that allows us to access relaxation and grounding for the body mind. And it can help us to really dip into this experiential knowledge. So as we begin, many of you, it's evening and you've had a full day, you're doing examinations, some of you. So it could be nice just to do a relaxation breathing exercise. So I'm going to invite you, we'll just do it for a few minutes. But we'll do a breathing technique that extends the exhalation and includes a retention of the breath. So that just means that we're not breathing in or out. It's kind of a holding of the breath, but it doesn't have to be that we're at the extreme of inhalation. It's just, we just stop moving the breath. We can think of it like that. Or a non-breath between the inhale and the exhale. So you'll hear me say it, but just so you know what I'm saying. So we'll inhale to a count of 4, hold the breath for 4, and then exhale a little bit longer to 7. And then we inhale again, count to 4, and repeat. So I'm going to count it out for you. It's fine to keep the eyes open or closed. It can feel good to close the eyes just so that you can relax into it. So this is this extended inhalation is, the extended exhalation, the exhalation is a simple way to really activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. Okay, so let me just put my timer on so we can do it. We'll do it for 3 minutes. Okay, so just noticing the breath and then beginning to inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, retain 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. retain, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release the breath and just breathe normally. Just feeling the subtle effects of this simple breathing exercise. So I hope you found that relaxing and easeful. Spaces between breaths are very interesting. When we practice with them, you can notice kind of a spaciousness. And when we talk about the 5 great elements, sometimes space is the element earth, water, fire, air, and space. Space can be kind of difficult to imagine. You know, we think of outer space, but what does space mean? Certainly when there's a lot of activity in a short amount of time, we can appreciate that can feel pressure filled. It could feel like there's, just a lot. And when we spread it out over a number of days, it can feel more easeful. So just bringing forward that idea of space. Let's see, I just want to go into the chat here. Make sure everybody's doing okay. I hope that you found that wonderful. If you want to, and it could be that you have found the breathing exercise not wonderful, and it could felt challenging actually. Sometimes when there's a lot of activity or it's just something new, it doesn't necessarily have to feel wonderful, but it could have. So if you like to just pop in the chat how that was for you, I'd be happy to receive it. Thank you. This morning I was walking outside and I could hear the cooing of a mourning dove. The birds have been really vocal. I've just been noticing them a lot this season. I don't know if you have mourning doves where you live, but it makes a whoo, whoo, whoo sound. I can't even do it justice. It's so beautiful, actually, the call. And I was remembering an apartment that I lived in after I graduated from college when I was in grad school. And I think just so many memories came flooding back from that time. And I was thinking of some mentors I had back when I was involved in a youth group for high school students that I had been part of. And I was just feeling really grateful for the presence of those people in my life. There was one man in particular, his name was Joe Roach. He had a funny name because his last name was Roach. When I was in high school, we would, say silly things about that. But he just was somebody who could really see me. I think he could see all of my potential even before I could. He could see what I was becoming or what I would become. And he passed away, unfortunately, in 2020. He was an old man, so he lived a full life. But I just honor his memory today. And I invite you to bring to mind individuals who have lifted you up, supported you, perhaps sacrificed for you, listened to you and cheered you on. And for those who are yet to come, who will be your cheerleaders, just want to bring forward some gratitude and invite you to presence those people. And if they're still around, maybe thank them in some small way. Let's see, let me just check the chat here. So Harriet asked a question about the breathing exercises. So yes, the inhalation is shorter and the exhalation is longer. And there are different ways to do breathing exercises. Sometimes people will just do what's called square breathing, where you inhale to 4, retain for 4, exhale for 4, and then retain for 4, in between both the inhale and the exhale, and then the exhale and the inhale. I chose to lengthen the exhalation because it does allow us that relaxation. I mean, even when we relax into something, we can feel that sense of just kind of melting. So by exhaling longer, that is one of the ways we activate that. Yeah. And let's see, and Mark is sharing. Yeah, that breathing exercises can be challenging. And that's kind of why it's a practice. You know, it can be practicing it for a few minutes on the regular could allow it to be something that's more accessible for you. And it could be that at a different time of day, it could be more easeful. It just depends what's going on for us in our bodies. Yeah, thank you for reflecting that. It is important to consider. Okay, so I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about wellness. You know, this course is built to synergize with the other 4 Youth by Youth mentorship as we create skill sets to foster the ability for each person to really meet their unique needs of their own body mind in real time so that you can promote sustainability and radical joy in your work. So we want to maximize wellness. And as we work with the indigenous wisdom of Ayurveda, we will learn about its definition of health and wellness. We'll definitely get there. But first, I wanted to hear from you your ideas about health and wellness. So I wanted to brainstorm with you and hear from you as we begin our workshop today. How would you define wellness? Maybe we can build a definition together. What is wellness? And I didn't necessarily decide to use this word wellness. It's kind of a very common word. You know, I think of health and wellness, but I was thinking about it today. It is a good definition. When we're well, we have capacity to engage with the world, right? If we're not well, we need more support. So it's like, how do we put up scaffolding so that we can remain well? So I thought maybe we could brainstorm as a starting point to maybe later building a definition, but like, what are some of the main ingredients that might be key to maintaining wellness for you, for conscious leaders engaged in the world? We can think about the mind, we can think about the body, right? Our connection to community. What are the main ingredients? You can just come on, you can type in the chat. What might be important to maintaining wellness for conscious leaders? Let's see, I just need to move this so I can see you. You can raise your hand. Consistency. Yes, thanks, Mark. I'm going to pull up a whiteboard. So let me see if that's going to... Harriet, do you have your hand up? Yeah, come right on. Thank you.
I think one of the key ingredients is constantly being self-awareness. Like you as a person, you should be aware of how you're feeling and actually describing the feelings, knowing that, okay, now I feel exhausted or now I feel angry or disappointed. Yeah, that awareness is key to it.
Yes, great. Thank you. Let's see. Going to use. Who else would like to come on and give me a main ingredient for? We have consistency, self-awareness. I'm not going to use the whiteboard because I can't see you, so I don't know if you're coming on. What else is important for you? Hi, Mercy. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. For me, determination is one of the key for wellness. Like you have to be determined in your mind. I just believe that anything you want to achieve, the moment you are determined, it helps you to be conscious and then you can work towards it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Right. It's like having the goal in hand so that you can continue. Yeah. Samuel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy. I can one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, one key ingredient for wellness, I can say that it is empathy. Having empathy for yourself and other people, I think is one of the main ingredients for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I think goes along with what Harriet was saying of that self-awareness, right? To have empathy for oneself, but then also for other people. Yeah. Kirabu, Bo, will you tell me how to say your name?
Chirabo.
Chirabo.
Yeah, Chirabo.
Chirabo.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So my submission is we've been told from the previous sessions you've had that we are actually made up of these different parts. You know, we have ether, we have space within us, and depending from which belief system you arise from, some people believe in them in the soul, body, and spirit. So for me, wellness would the perfect picture of wellness to me would be having a balance of all these components. You know, when this part of me is balancing with this part of me, and the perfect balance to me that defines wellness.
Yes, thank you. Balance is really important. Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about two different parts of like different layers of the human being as seen from the Ayurvedic perspective later in the year. Thank you. Let's see. There was more in the chat. Let's see. Matthew says wellness is the capacity to remain active, healthy, sound-minded, nice physique, and sharp senses of your environment. Yeah. Yeah, and the physical body is an important part of that, for sure. It's only one part, but it is an important part, yeah. And then perhaps learning the tools for building emotional resilience. Yes. Yeah. Resilience is such a powerful word. And in looking at our ability to engage with the world, you know, a certain experience can happen. And with resilience, it's something that can be taken in stride. And then if someone else has a similar experience, it may be traumatic for them. So it's like, how do we build the ability to, thrive even if the oceans are wavy, for example, if there's stormy seas, not just times when things are easeful. So resilience is a really important word. Thank you for bringing that forward. Okay, great. Thank you. I think we can build on this as we go. Okay, I'm just moving this. So I just want to review just ever so quickly the 5 great elements. So we're going to just review the first few slides that I did last week, just to bring it forward again, because as I said, it's really the fundamental concepts of Ayurveda. And this way, if we really have a solid foundation with that, then it makes the other learning easier. So let me just share my slides here. And then we're going to go a little farther. Okay. So we just discussed the concept that these elements make up everything, all in the world. I have 2 dogs, and I was thinking one of my dogs has the tendency to build up earth element and the other one doesn't. And they're both like in the exact same environment. And, it's just interesting how different bodies do different things. It just, one of my dogs has more air element in his body. He's just a leaner kind of guy. So we have earth, water, fire, air, and the space that holds the elements. Everyone has their unique pattern of these, and we can see it in the world and in ourselves. So it's really that simple. And then each of the elements has qualities, and you see them listed below. So when we work with our own body minds, we could notice, for example, not just that there's fire, but we might notice that, for example, sometimes someone who has a lot of fire in their mind might have some sharpness in their mind. They may be very perceptive. They have, we even describe minds like that, sharp mind, a sharp intellect. But sometimes that sharpness can be in speech. They can have like an edge to their voice, a sharp tongue. So it's interesting to work with the gunas or qualities because it can help us then to balance. So if there's something that's sharp happening for me in my speech, for example, I might try to apply the opposite quality, which would be dull, which we see under earth and water. So applying the opposite can be helpful. So that could be something more easeful, more quiet, less intense would help to ease that, which would be different from if there's heat in the body, we would apply something cool. So we can just appreciate that there can be subtle differences in the elements based on their qualities that describe them. So as you go, you'll, explore this further. I'm just mentioning it here. It's not like I expect you to like memorize these. Although if you're prone to nerdiness like me, you might pull out the slides and just kind of look at them and experience them and notice how they're not linear and how there's a relationship between all of them. So the slides actually I shared, and I can just make sure you have that link again if you would like to look at them. Okay, so we talked about how like increases like and opposite qualities decrease, which is what we just said. So when we look at the elements, we see that they combine into what we call dosha. Dosha, that's a word, D-O-S-H-A-S. That's how I would transliterate it. And we have these combinations, and this is how we start to see them showing up in the body. So just remember that where everyone has all of the elements in the body, And most of the time, people have a combination of two of the doshas. So we'll look at that when we do the Prakriti quiz. But I just don't want anyone to think that like they just have, air and ether and they don't have any fire and water. Everyone has all of the elements. So we see Pitta combines here to make fire and water. And then Kapha is earth and water. Here's just another picture. Some people are very visual learners, so it helps to see it in different ways. So when we look at how much of the 5 elements an individual has, we identify how much Kapha, Pitta, and or Vata they have. And so Kapha refers to earth and water, and it represents cohesiveness or protection, lubrication, and immunity. And when we're referring to Pitta, how much fire and water element they have, it's their transformative capacity or discernment. It's also their transformative capacity in terms of digestion. And then when we refer to Vata, how much air and space, it's the capacity for movement, creativity, spontaneity. And we can notice that in this pattern, Kapha and Pitta both share the water element. So that's something they have in common. And that Vata and Kapha are both cold, whereas Pitta is hot. Okay. So we see the gunas or qualities that the doshas take on when they combine here. And we can note that Pitta is hot, but it's not burning hot. It's a steady heat that transforms and doesn't burn when it's balanced, right? We talked about this idea of balance. It has water, which is has fluidity and has a coolness to it. So when we work with the doshas, we see their patterns in ourselves and in the world. We can see the elements in the body and the mind of a person. And hopefully you had a chance to take the Prakriti quiz to determine your own combination of the elements. Everyone has them in different combinations. So even if someone has the same Prakriti, like so for example, they show they have a Vata, Pitta, Prakriti, that they have air and ether predominating, but also a good amount of fire and water. Someone else with that same Prakriti would have those elements and gunas in different parts of their body and mind, so they would be unique, even though they have the same Prakriti. They might have the same patterns and tendencies, but also, a unique pattern. And then beyond describing an individual's constitution, the 3 doshas are also used to describe different functions of the body. So Vata is in charge of all movement. And we can feel into that as that's made of ether and air, right? Air is very mobile. We can just move our hand to move air versus earth, thinking of a rock, which I couldn't just move by waving my hand, right? It's much more stable. And Vata is really the dosha that leads the way because it moves everything else. So the digestive enzymes don't move unless Vata moves them, even though the digestive enzymes would be considered Pitta, for example. So we can just see on the slide here, the nervous system is Vata, moving electrical energy across nerves, circulating blood, elimination of waste, moving the waste through the body. the downward movement necessary for childbirth. And when balanced, it can foster enthusiasm, creativity, and positivity. So it's wonderful. And Pitta is about digestion and transformation, being made of fire and water. Fire is the Agni, or digestive fire in the body. And it allows us to take sensory information in through all of our senses and transform it into energies in the body. So when our digestive fire is not optimum, we lack clarity and discernment. And we see in our slide here that Pitta is kinetic and potential energy. We talked about digestion already. Transformation of food and ideas. It's seated in the visual cortex, as well as responsible for analysis and thought. And when balanced, can create a sense of confidence, ambition, and decisiveness. So it's also wonderful. And then finally, Kapha, last but certainly not least, it's all about cohesion, lubrication, and endurance. Being made of the elements of earth and water, we see its stable qualities that help us be healthy, stabilizing and protecting the body and our health. So it's potential energy, stability, source of immunity, lubricates the joints and produces salivary secretion, supports, holds emotions, and it can be nurturing, patient, compassionate, and loving. So such beautiful descriptions. Appreciating how the elements can shine through a person in a really beautiful way. So we can take just a simple intuitive approach, feeling into what gunas you feel in your body mind. For this perspective teaches us that we're in dynamic relationship with our environment. And by learning this relationship and how to work with it and what's present within us, we can thrive. This is from The Art of Alex Gray. And I really enjoy how he depicts it's very, very simple, but just feeling into the relationship between this human being and this tree and seeing the energetics both above and below. We know so much about mushrooms, even the mycelium network that connects then tree to tree below the surface. There's just so much happening. And through that, we can align our senses, our actions, and our habits. It's about everything you come into contact with, really. That everything must be digested. The daily energies, the seasons, the weather, not to mention our electronics, just so many images coming through us, to us. Okay. So I want to pause just a moment here and see if there's anything coming up. Okay, so yeah, let me check the chat. Thank you. Let's see. Yes, so Camville Hille, I'm sure I'm not saying it well. I'm sorry. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind coming on and just telling me how to say your name? Am I saying it right?
Hi, Amy. So it's pronounced Kamvelihle, but Kamva is fine.
Kamva.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Kamva. Okay. Say it again, because I can probably try. Kamvaliche.
That's pretty close.
Okay, I'll work on it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so what you're bringing forward is so interesting. Do you want to just say about the astrological signs?
So I am a Pisces, right? Like, I'm just interested in things. So I know that astrologically I'm a Pisces, but I have a strong Aries dominance, whatever. I don't know the terminology. But
Mhm.
so when I took the quiz that you sent out, I found that the dominant doshas I had were water and fire. In the same way, within my astrological chart or my natal chart, the dominant elements rather are water and fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just thought that was interesting, and I was wondering if there is a connection between these two philosophies.
I'm so glad you bring it up because so uh, astrological signs, there are different systems. There's actually a Vedic system of astrology, which is a little different than I don't know if if we call it the Western system of astrological signs. But there's a definite correlation. And the Vedic chart is actually the exact way to know what your Prakriti is. The quiz helps us because we see the elements in our body minds, right? So we can start to name them, where they are in the body. You know, the mind could even have a different um, set of elements that dominate it. And then the body could be a little different. Like myself, I have more earth in my body, but a lot of fire in my mind. So it's very interesting to notice that way. Um, and I'm not an expert on astrology, either Vedic or Western. So there is a linkage. We can leave it there. Yeah. So it can be interesting to go through. And I myself, like a Cancer moon child, a very watery sign in Western astrology, and then a Libra in Vedic astrology. So I can identify with both of them in a certain way. So it's kind of cool just to see different overlays, you know? So yeah, it's awesome to bring it forward. Thank you for the question. And then let's see. Harriet says, is it possible to cultivate different dosha from the natural one? Yeah. Being a pitta, but you want to become vata. So that's a great consideration, right? Uh, and I think that's why I was bringing forward the idea of like how great each of the doshas are. They all have their superpower. And I can say for myself, having a lot of fire in my mind, in my constitution, my fire has sometimes been sharp and hot, and I haven't always embraced it because it's been a little difficult when it got out of balance for lots of reasons, which I can understand. And so working with it to get it to be just this hot, bright, vibrancy as opposed to something that's kind of, you know, too hot, has been the way to work so that I can access the other elements. So my son used to have this kindergarten teacher who used to say, "We get what we get, and we don't get upset." Like they would give the little kids whatever, you know, they were sharing for the day, and one kid would be like, "Oh, that person's carrot is bigger than my carrot," or whatever it was. You know, so it was just a way to say, like, you know, we get the carrot we get. And so it's a simple thing, but in a certain way, that lesson, that kind of saying, I've taken it on a little bit. Like we have to make the best of what we have. And I think part of Ayurveda, the wisdom of it, is allowing us to appreciate that we are just the way we're supposed to be. And we may appreciate Vata and want to cultivate it if we don't feel it as much in our body mind, but how we are is really just awesome, you know? So it's like leaning into that, like leaning into our own awesomeness and knowing that we're part of a whole. So like someone else will bring their Vata, And then we'll use that. Like we actually have access to all of it. I don't know if there's anything else. Does anyone else want to say anything about that? Does that help, Harriet? I just want to encourage you. And, you know, I have felt that way too. So, all right, let's see.
Amy, can I say something?
Yeah.
I understand what you said, and it actually maybe it's just that Uganda in your macho
You're going in and out, Harriet, and I'm not getting enough to hear what you're saying. See if you can try again. Do we
Oh
lose?
yeah, my network is a bit unstable.
Okay.
Can I be heard right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh yes, I was saying that as a lady, maybe it's in Uganda, when you're much of that fire, your mind is always burning. You find issues in maybe making relationships, and more so like romantic relationships. So you find it hard because um we're in a patriarchal society, and men want to dominate. And so when you show that you're this kind of girl, that your mind is always on fire, you're always asking these questions, you're always doing these great things, so you find it hard to navigate the relationship world. And also maybe you can correct me, perhaps my opinion is just subjective, not objective. So you can maybe correct me on that. Maybe it's just the way I think, but those are some of the challenges I've found, and they force me to maybe want and cool it down or be someone else or something like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you say. Not just in Uganda. I can relate to what you're saying myself as a young woman with a lot of fire in my belly. It's hard. Yeah, it's I hope that we're moving into a world where, human beings can be accepted for just being human beings, bringing whatever it is that's inside of them. So I think just bringing it forward helps us to think about it in different terms. Yeah, absolutely. And I think each of us has a unique gift to bring, and we don't want to try to cover up our light. We need our lights burning really bright. So yeah, we'll talk about it more, Harriet. Thank you for bringing it forward. It's wonderful. Kamve, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I was just thinking as Harriet was asking her question, and maybe I don't understand the concepts and the philosophies well enough yet, but I'm just wondering, when you said we get what we get and we don't complain, although that may be true, isn't part of the human experience in general to move away from the excesses and find moderation in everything? So it's good. Like I am Pitta too, like Harriet, and I do have that fire. I do have the sharpness. But and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just finding the right situation where you allow that trait to come through and where you're able to practice restraint in others, because that's something I've been learning and going through. Because if you're always the same across different situations, then people might not receive you the way you would like them to.
Yes. I think it also speaks to, you know, Pitta specifically is really good at discernment, you know. So I think like there can be a way in which you can just see how things really are, cutting away some of that. Whereas someone who has more earth maybe in their constitution, they don't really have necessarily the access to as much of that discernment. That it's just interesting to think about the fact that, you know, someone else could be perceiving a situation in a totally different way. And that is wonderful because it allows us to have insight and compassion and empathy. It helps us to understand what it might feel like to be in someone else's, you know, circumstance, their configuration of elements, so to speak. Yeah. I'm curious too to notice, you know, so if you look at your Prakriti quiz results, you should have something like the Vata number is a number, and then the Pitta number is a number, and then the Kapha number is a number. So like here, for example, 15, 25, 18. So this would be Pitta is primary, but then you would say Kapha is secondary and Vata is close behind. Most people will have a Vikriti that is, we can just simplify it. So one number is the highest number. So here Pitta is the highest number. And then Vata is the second highest number. And Kapha is the third highest number. So this person would be a Pitta Vata. So they have primarily fire and water, but a lot of air and ether. And you saw that in the results, I hope you can see. So most people will have two dominant doshas. One will be the highest and then the second highest. And so you can really look at the two of them together because they have a relationship and they give you more information about how things work. And then also, as I said, noticing, because there's two separate numbers, you get one for the body, one for the mind, you could notice that you could have a different pattern. You might have the Pitta predominating in the mind. And it's interesting, so many of you are bringing forward this fire in the mind. I would imagine there's a lot of you with fire in your mind, just, you know, who are attracted and do this work, right? It takes a certain fieriness to come forward in the world and discernment to see, I want things to be better. And there's lots of ways to go about it, but it certainly makes sense in that way. Okay, so very good. Let me continue on here. I want to say a little bit more to give you the framework. Okay, so when we look at the Prakriti, we can think about the analogy of a cell phone, right? You have like an iPhone or you have a Droid or a Samsung, whatever, right? You need to know what you have so that you can use the right operating system and the right charging cord for that phone. We can't charge our iPhone with the Samsung cord, for example. Or if we run the wrong software, we're not going to really get very far. So the same is kind of true for ourselves. We need to know what kind of system we have in order to give it what it needs to run optimally. So a person with a lot of Vata in their constitution might approach daily habits in a different way than a person with a lot of Pitta or someone with a lot of Kapha. The same daily routine and daily habits could allow one person to thrive and could actually make the other person ill. It's kind of that simple. As I was saying, like with my dogs, one of them has the tendency to be a little bit more earthy and the other one more light. So it's just that simple. They might need something a little bit different. So if we look at this, we call this an Ayurvedic clock. So if you think of this as a clock face, you can see it says 10 p.m. and a.m. and then 2 at the 2 o'clock spot, and then 6 o'clock. So between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., and again 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. twice a day is kappa time. It's heavier, dense, more stable time. And you can probably feel into that a little bit. It's a good time to go to bed. It has a heavier energy. You know, if we're up past 10, people say they kind of catch a second wind, you know, because there's a lot of fire. It's like can be a thinking time. So going to bed before 10 allows you to get that heavier energy, which allows you to sleep. I know that's not always common. A lot of times people, you know, they say burn the midnight oil, and you know, as you probably okay at a younger age. As we get a little older, we might feel into this a little bit more if we're not asleep. But I'll also say that between 10 and 2, both AM and PM, is the pitta time. So this is really good time for digestion. So during the day, this is the time to have the heaviest meal. And during the night, it's the time when the body really does a lot of rejuvenation. The liver is detoxifying, the cells are kind of putting out the trash. There's just a lot of really good rejuvenating activities that happen. So being asleep during that time helps us to take advantage of that. And then between 2 and 6, both AM and PM, is this lighter time. It can be a creative time. So if you want to create something, that's a really good time to work on it. And it's also when if you've ever been awake during that really early like dusk time or dawn time, right? It's like it has a lightness and a crispness. So it makes sense. It has those qualities. So I just invite you to notice the times of day. I know sometimes if I've slept kind of late, if I'm still in bed at like 8 o'clock, it can just feel hard to get up. You know, if I get up at 5:30 or 6, it's just easier because the time of day just has less density to it. So you could just notice. And then similarly, the lifespan, this isn't my favorite. Do I have a different one? No. I'm going to just go back here. Kappa time, this is childhood. Childhood until puberty is kappa time. We're earthy, we're juicy, we're just a little more dense. And then pitta time, the mid time of life, when we're, you know, getting jobs and really putting into the world, maybe having children, you know, building families. And then, you know, later in life, 55, something like that, then there's entrance into vata time and we get a little lighter. So pitta time is the largest time of life also, and we can accumulate a lot of heat no matter what our dosha is. By being, you know, in a certain time of life, we're accumulating some of those elements. And that has some effect on us. So this one shows the different constitutions or dosha types. So you can see here's these combinations: pitta kappa, vata pitta, or vata kappa. These are the most common ones. And then some people are tridoshic. They almost have like an equal amount of all. That's even more uncommon than being just pitta, vata, or kappa. And then the, I wouldn't say more important, but very important to understand too, is this concept of vikriti. So we talked about balance. Vikriti means imbalance. So it's like if you are, let's say pitta kappa, and you're, but you have an accumulation of more earth elements, say, than is your birth state, then you have a kappa vikriti. So there's some heaviness in your body, more than is optimal for you. because if you're at your balanced state of what your Prakriti is, you're going to feel great. You know, you're going to feel compassionate, and you're going to have a zest for life, and you're going to be motivated. But if there's a lot of earth element, the body can feel heavy, and you may have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, or you just may lack the ability to kind of motivate and do things. So this is an example of a heavy Vikriti, a Kapha Vikriti. I kind of already talked about the Pitta Vikriti, which is, you know, excess heat in the body. Could be rash on the skin, red rash on the skin, could be heat in the digestive tract, or it could be just sharpness, you know, kind of like not fun to be around, someone who's critical and a little angry, you know, who's a little aggressive. This could be Pitta in the mind. And then just to be balanced, so Vata, imbalance, could be kind of being spacey, or talking a lot, someone who kind of just talks but doesn't necessarily, you know, they're not getting to the point. There's a lot of words. Could be dryness or cold hands. Oftentimes, Vata Vikriti has difficult digestion because the seat of Vata is in the large intestine, so there can be problems with elimination. So these are some Vikritis, just you know, common ones. Okay, so that concept. So, you know, this little guy here, he's all right. He's in the crack there, you know, he's doing the best he can. There could be some really good soil down under there, and he might be just like tunneling down, you know, getting there. He looks a little dry. He looks like maybe he's having a little trouble, you know, so we want to give ourselves what we need so that we're, you know, we're really thriving. This guy looks moist and robust, you know, he's definitely in a nice pile of compost there. So just thinking of how to do that. So on our last, we're kind of going to build on our last, let me just stop the share. The last workshop, we identified gunas. I am, you know, clear and light. So let me go back and actually share that guna slide. I want to invite you to make a statement about the gunas for you, what you're feeling, and then create an action step. So here's some examples. I am light and clear. I'm filled with grounded energy. So whatever it is that you're feeling guna-wise, here's the gunas. And it could be balanced or imbalanced. But if it's imbalanced, like if you feel heavy and it feels like very heavy, you know, like lack of motivation kind of heavy, then I might encourage you to say, I am light, or I am balanced. And then we're going to create an action step, because I want you to presence how you want to feel, not necessarily if you're feeling a Vikriti or an imbalance. If you're feeling balanced, then you can just work with that. So you'll continue to, it may be that feeling heavy feels fine for you. I am heavy and grounded. That could be good. It doesn't, you know, heaviness is not necessarily bad. So create a statement using the gunas here. And then create an actionable step and add it to your intention statement. So here, for example, I am light and clear. And so I wake up before sunrise and get some movement before 10 a.m. So this is using a little bit of that doshic clock. Just use your intuition, state your guna, and then a way you can support yourself. It's really that simple. And I invite you to share in the chat. I would love to hear a couple of your statements, just keeping it very simple. What time is it? I'm going to place the link to our post survey. Let's see, I think I have the QR code too, which could be helpful. Let me put that in. And then I ask you to please, there's the QR code, to please take about 5 minutes and just complete that. I appreciated your feedback from last time. I am very happy to zig and zag. I want to co-create with you. So please give me your feedback. Let's see, we got some statements coming in here. I stay hydrated and drink enough water consistently throughout the day. Consistently during the day. Yes, wonderful. Great actionable step. I am soft and light this eve. I am light and clear and I exercise regularly to a moderate intensity. I am sharp and mentally agile. I generate wonderful ideas and take actionable steps to turn them into reality. Great. Due to hot weather in Ghana, I have been drinking more water than before to stay hydrated. Wonderful. Okay. Any takeaways? Anybody want to share a final takeaway? You can come right on. After our first 2 sessions.
Amy, I think let me go first since let me inspire some people to come and give us their takeaways. I do have many, but the greatest one is the one you talked about. Work with what you have, and it has really spoken to me, and definitely I'm leaving this space with much more appreciation for myself than I had before. I used to appreciate myself, but today I think it's way better than I when I joined this space. So thank you. Work with what we have, like appreciate the what you have and just moderate. I think Canvi talked about too much of anything is not good. So we need to moderate, and I'm going to find out whether you call it when you're not balanced.
Yeah,
There is
Vikriti.
something Vikriti. Yes, I'm going to keep so I'm going to do some meditation.
Mhm. A wonderful actionable step. Yes. One of my favorites. Yeah, and I think just the Ayurvedic lens seems to me it's like a little bit of an overlay. So you put it down and then it cultivates compassion. It's like, oh, there I go doing that thing because I have a lot of fire in my constitution, or because I have a lot of air, or because I have a lot of earth. It's just like seeing the natural order, and it gives us perspective and allows us to really go easy, Yeah, and to the middle. Thank you, Harriet. So if you want to come to office hours tomorrow from 1 to 2:30 Eastern Time, you're welcome to come chat with me. If you are interested in doing an Ayurvedic wellness plan with me, there's space we can schedule. I think what I'm going to do is the first office hours will be more of our practice time, and then the second set of office hours, and I'll tell you as we go, when we're doing what, but that will be more time for us to engage in a more just, come as we are kind of way, and we can schedule things for for more formal work as you desire. So let me know. Okay, please fill out your survey, and let's bring it to a close. I want to honor your time. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I will see you in June. Okay. Be well, everyone. Goodbye for now. Thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye. Have a good day.